time for the best part of my day. What minigame should I play today? Oh no, it's a race. I'm running behind, I gotta catch up. Almost there. Come on, let's go. Yes, we overtook him, just gotta maintain first place. Oh no, I'm stuck. I did it, yay! Hello everybody, and thank you for coming to watch another video. Today's tutorial, or I guess minigame tutorial thingamabob, is on how to make a racing game. Now, as with all my other ones, I am doing this without plugins, and this one was hard, and I have never managed to make RPG Maker lag before. I did this one, so here we are. There's a lot of parallel events running on this one, and in the future I would probably try and lessen what the parallel events are doing and turn them into player touch events. But for now, I got it working, and I'm not gonna poke the bear, No gift horses will be looked in the mouth. So for this, it is 3 racers, including the player. You can add more. You can even add randomized ones, so the player races against a different person each time. It is completely up to you, but just for this, I just went through the basics and have the 2 people aside from the player. Right now, you see, as I'm trying to make one of the pitfalls or little traps going through, and I'm trying to decide what the heck I should do for this, for I eventually decided, what would work best? An actual tile. So I set down the tile and had it set to event touch originally, because my original plan was to have it so if even the other players touched it, it would go off. But then I realized there was not an easy way to do that. So I decided to just make it player touch, and later in you'll see that I fake the other events getting stuck by them having predetermined routes. This is me writing a note when I still thought I was going to do it the first way I talked about. Just testing it, and yay, I'm stuck, I can't get out, but oh no, I'm stuck, I can't get out. So this is me first trying to figure out why was that working. Maybe the tile was unpassable, it was passable, and I eventually get to the conclusion that it was my event that wasn't working. Here, I evidently just stare into the void for a really long time. But yeah, so I change it to make it so that I have it set to the shift key being pressed down. And yeah, see, button is being repeated, and then I add that onto there, and then I go through many different iterations of trying to get it to work. Originally I had it set with up, and that wasn't working, and I figured that was just kind of awkward to press. So I switched it to shift, and it worked. And I don't know why up wasn't working and shift did, but again, not looking any gift horses in the mouths. You can choose whatever button you like, and even if you have a plugin, you could choose a plugin that allows you to use your entire keyboard. You could do that. It's completely up to you. I just went with the preset shift. Then I was going to have the next thing I'm going to work on. It was going to be a slow state that it was going to add, and then when you touch the fast one, it would remove it or it would speed you up. And then I realized that adding states outside of a battle is kind of a pain in the butt, and I didn't want to deal with it. So after trying to figure out how, I decided, screw that, try something different. And I currently looking for what I want the slow thing to be when you hit it. And I eventually settle with a red magic circle, but I think in the beginning I clicked blue because I like blue. And you see, it would change the player's speed, slow it down, and I'm staring off into space again. Yeah, this This thing had to be filmed over many days, and everything is extremely sped up, but yeah, this took me several days to do, and because my schedule has been absolutely bonkers recently, I just didn't have time to sit and do this all in one go. Saving. Okay, and then this is me testing. Or maybe not. No, what am I doing? I started over again. Yeah, that's fair. So switch. So now it will, yeah, there's a little jump here because this had several days, several parts of it didn't get filmed, unfortunately. But you'll see there are two events now. One is the slow one and one is the fast one. So I'm having an event set that if slow is on, which it turns on when you touch it, then fast will not speed you up, but will just return you to a regular speed. And if slow is not on, then fast will speed you up. Oh no, I'm slow. Oh woo, I'm fast. Wait, that's not what I wanted to happen. So go back in, move some stuff around, make sure that this event happens within my conditionals instead of outside of it, which is what was happening on the slow one. And I realized that auto dash was kind of screwing it with it a little, but honestly, like, if you want to do it that way, do it that way. It's completely up to you. You can go in and figure out how to turn off auto dash. I looked and looked and looked through the menus and I could not find it. So if someone finds where you can turn off auto dash from the default, no plugins, anything, to force it, the action not to do it from in-game. I know how to do that. But please tell me in the comments, because I looked for this forever. Anyways, it's getting slightly more complicated, but that's just me copying and pasting it into all the different conditionals for different things to happen. And yay, everything works. And the speed thing only speeds you up one time. That isn't exponential. You could make it that way. I just chose not to. And to do that, you would just have it so it doesn't check if the fast speed is on, and it just, or you have a variable. Yeah, you hit it with a variable, and each time you hit that variable, it switches to a new conditional, and that conditional speeds you up exponentially. Of course, there is a limit in default of how fast you can get the player going. So if you wanted to do that, you would have to probably use some code or plugins. Here I am just building out the track, moving stuff around and adding bits. Having all these different events doesn't kill the game, because see, it runs fine. It is the parallel event I add in at the end to actually tell where any of the players are and figure out what place the player gets that kills the game. And this is me here trying to figure out how the heck I want to do that, and I decided to use region ID. And then this is me in here trying to figure out, I don't use any of this. This gets deleted at the end. But this is just my process of trying to figure out how I want it to work. This is just a note to myself, what I want to do, because I knew that I was going to have to lead this and come back to it later. Use your comments. They save lives, really. And just more screwing around, figuring out what the heck I'm doing. This is the final event that ends up being created. As you see, my brain jumps around a lot. I'm screwing around, adding things to places, and this is me finally deciding how the other racers are going to run the race. This takes forever. Because I'm constantly, thank God that MZ added that feature. Sorry, MZ. To preview where your player is, or the player event is going to move, because I would have burst into tears several times doing this if I did not have that. And here's me struggling to tell my left from my right. But yeah, and I go through and I do this with both players, or not players, sorry, other racers. And I wanted them to be slightly different, so I didn't just copy paste the same event, because otherwise they'd just be running inside of each other, and that's boring. You see, I have it in there changing the speed when the other racer hits the event to make it appear as if it's affecting it, even though it's already a pre-coded thing. And yeah, just go through and do that. I also have both of the other racers set on through. That was a personal choice for me, to make sure that nothing bugged out when the players hit the event, when the events hit the other events that are supposed to just slow down the player and trip them up. So, and the player also can't get stuck in between them or behind them. They can't get stuck on each other, and I found it just made everything run a lot smoother. I also had them both start in front of the finish line, which is, you know, aesthetically a little wonky, but for the code to work, I couldn't have them run over it at the beginning. Then this is me going through and doing the other racer. You see, I have them dodge around a couple things. They hit that slow thing. And yeah, basically doing the same thing I did with the other one. I think this is the player. I'm calling them all players. This is the racer. Okay, I'll get this down. I will call it a racer. But this is when the racer gets stuck on slow, then speeds up. And I think at the end, I have them get caught in the bottom lowest little pitfall. I don't know, a little crack in the cement that you get stuck in. It's not pretty, but you know, it functions. And it's using completely default. I didn't even draw anything for this one like I did for a lot of my other mini games. Yeah, and then I had them stuck to jump, wait, and then they jump out like the player would, and then they keep going. Everything up to this point has been simple enough, just kind of lodging and working it through. The next thing I do, however, gets a lot more complicated, because I decided that I was going to figure out, finally, I'd been avoiding this, is why it's last, how to tell when the racers finished and where the player finished and relevant to the racers. Now, the thing I did is very reliant on each individual racer, so you would have to change it and add a lot more code if you had more racers, or if you had changeable racers, etc. And it's not difficult. You just have to add in a lot of conditional if-then statements, which is just you go into the menu, conditional branch. If blah does this, then this does this, else it does this. Here's just me. I forgot before I went through and did everything. I play tested everything and realized that the other racers aren't moving quite right. And this could change too, depending on if you have actual people racing, if you have vehicles racing, you know, whatever you want to do. Like, this is just to show you a way to make it work. Customize it, please. And this is me not winning because this is the first time I'd actually fully ran it. And yeah. And then it's me realizing, oh, I want to actually start with them so I don't have to hold down control. So I just added in a little event that turns a switch and starts the race. Normally, you'd probably have that from the transfer event that led to the race and then have that kickstart it. But since I started on this map, I wanted to just add a simple start the race button, which is triggered. The two racers start when the switch is triggered, and it switches to a new page in each individual racer, and on those racers it has their movements, routes on the custom one in there. This is me just setting everything so it starts right and isn't super glitched if you do it multiple times in a row or anything. And mind you, I did not add an exit event to this. So if you want to do that, just look at my past, my fishing video actually. And I go over making sure you turn all the switches off, put all the variables back to 0 before you transfer back to where you came from. And you can also see in my fishing video how to save where the player previously came from. I will link that in the little icon above. But yeah, you know, just more bug testing. Yay, it works. And now I'm watching the other racers. Oh my goodness, I spent a lot more time doing this than I thought I did. Yes, brain, function, please. I, too, while doing this, I get interrupted a lot. So a lot of the times where I'm saying, like, I'm just staring off into space, I wasn't really staring off into space. I would get up and forget to pause the recording. So I would just go do it and then come back and be like, oh, it's been recording this entire time. Well, that's something I can fix later. And then I don't fix it later because I'm lazy and don't like editing very much. As if you couldn't tell that by any of my videos. So yeah, this is telling where the location is, and right now I have it set terrain to terrain tag, but I later go back and fix that and set it to region restrictions when I realized it wasn't working. It's late. I am running on popcorn and M&Ms. But yes. Okay, this is looking pretty much like the final version of this page does, with a lot more complications added in. This time I got up actually to let my dog in because I just recently moved into a new house, and so the backyard isn't completed. It's just a muddy mess. So every time I try and go let my dog in, I have to wipe her paws, which does absolutely nothing in the long run. Like, the floors are atrocious. But, you know, she loves it in the backyard, and it's so cute. But our neighbor dogs and my older dog and my puppy, they love to run the fence line back and forth together, and whenever they'll see them through the back door, they'll just start barking and barking until I let them out, and then they'll sprint to the fence line and they'll run up and down together, and it's literally the cutest thing. Sorry, I got really off topic, but yes. Here it is to tell what place the player got, which is based upon the, see, I'm fixing it now, based on the region restriction, and which, it doesn't tell you the place that the 2 NPCs got, because that doesn't matter for this. You could make it so it did that. You would just have to change the variables that it sets to 2 different variables. And, like, if player crosses line, and this, if the racer crosses the line and this racer is number 0, then that racer is number 1, etc. But I don't do that because I only want to know the place of the player. So it goes through and does that depending on what the variable for the NPCs are. And then this is me adding in a second one so that the parallel process isn't trying to do all of this at once, and instead it just reads the basic things and then switches over to the more complicated one in hopes that it wouldn't completely kill the computer. Mind you, I do not have a gaming computer. I have an old 3-in-1 laptop that or 2-in-1? 2-in-1. But anyways, and it's old, and it doesn't run the best. It's honestly kind of amazing that it can run this at all. So I feel like it's a good tester, you know, to see if this would work on lesser powered computers. You know, my computer didn't blow up, so here we are. And here you really start to see the frames dropping, and it's like, oh no. And it's mainly when the other racers are on screen. I'm actually only noticing that now. But anywho, here's me trying to fix that. And what ended up being broken too, if you noticed, when I got first, it said it like 8,000 times. It's because I forgot to break the loop. That's literally the only issue, is I forgot to break the loop. Which I do eventually go back and do. After I test it like 5,000 times. And I was having fun. It's a good game when you accidentally keep getting stuck on things. And the speed boost isn't always the best thing, because you'll get going super fast and it's like, wait, no, I'm about to run into that thing. And by the time you realize it and move the switch, the command had already been entered, so you run into the thing. And mind you, when you're doing this, you're going to want to have like introductions like, use the arrow keys to move, watch out for this, it does this, and if you run into this, then you do this. I did none of that. This is just the basic game, none of the fluff around it. Let's see. Racer 1 done, Racer 2 done. Yeah, this is what tells you what place the player got. I don't know why I hadn't done that before this point. And this is to stop the players from moving, the NPC racers from moving once they cross the finish line. Because I found it kind of weird that they just kept going. It was like a car race. So mind you, if you have a car race, you might want to keep going. Not kart. I don't know what. Mario Kart, they keep moving, for example. But in this, I didn't want them to because they're people and they're just going to stop. Oh, look, I got first. Yay. And I go back and watch them because, I have nothing better to do with my life. So, testing it, and again, it didn't repeat infinitely this time, but it did go through it twice before it finished. So, again, it's just a break loop problem. Not on this page, on page 2, but I go and fix that, and I had gotten up and gotten back down, and so my music needed restarted. That's what that was. But anywho, going through. Then this is me testing all the different places, so I have to wait for the other players to get there. And woo, I got last. And then this is me waiting to try and get second, because that time I was trying to get second, not last. But yeah, even with each of them being pre-programmed to go a certain route, I've noticed that each time they finish a little differently. And I do not have the explanation as for why they do that. But you know what? I think it's kind of neat. And see, there, went through, you got second, you went last. That's because it finished out the conditionals, because I have them nestled in else branches. So I had to break the loop and add a switch to get them out from stopping them doing, continuing, finishing, even if it did break the loop. I believe this may be my second final test. I sit there waiting for them to catch up to me for a while. Wow, even sped up. This is taking a while. I watched this through, but I wasn't watching closely. I'm gonna have to go back and do some finessing. Hey, editor me, cut this down. None of us want to sit here watching nothing. I got first accidentally, lol. Okay, this is the final one, where I actually ran the race because I was like, okay. And then at this point I was like, oh crap. I got a little angry, did a little angry sprint, and then I was like, okay, this time I'll take it seriously and I will actually finish. This point I'd pretty much figured out the map, so I was like, okay. These NPCs, all these extras don't stand a chance. But I got a little too far ahead and had to wait again. Editor me, you know what to do. Yeah, that's everything. And here you have just, it can look any way you want, do anything you want with it, have fun. But yeah, that's everything. If you have any questions, please leave it in the comments. I am still new to this, so I am not the best at explaining everything that's going on. But if you enjoyed, please leave a like and subscribe. Thank you all for watching. Bye!